Guys, welcome to episode 46 of the peer-to-peer network. Um, Today we are going to move forward on the development of the features to uh, add a social entity. Okay, we were working on that, and last episode we got a little bit stuck at that because GitHub doesn't was not allowing me to update a file at the develop branch, so I had to use the master branch, and still this is an unresolved issue, but at least we could finally save our file in here, the social trading desktop app JSON, with the profile ID, the code name, and the storage provider, information, name, username, and token, that we are going to reuse that for the feature of social entities. So at here, we just copied um, the function of creating a user profile, and we made a short list of the things that we need to do. That is, get a user profile ID and name from the file that we saved in the previous procedure. Then we need to read the user profile file from GitHub again, add the social persona nodes, sign that node, add storage container for the social persona, including the reference, and save the updated profile at github.com. So which are the properties that we expect at this message? We will need we will get this from probably we will need a user app type, because with this we know the name of the file. Okay, so we will need this, and these guys are going to be retrieve. So I do this now. Okay, So the target, no, I don't remember what we used this for. Okay, yeah. When we're adding a user app, this was the target. No, we will reuse this because we're going to be adding a social persona or social trading bot. So that's okay. So the first thing we need is in here, check create fork. The first function that I will need is a load user profile function. Okay, so this function was updated. So I take it from here. So let's collapse this, guys. So we're going to call this load user profile. User profile file for this type of user app. Okay, so with the user app type, we are going to get the file name, and we are going to do let file content like this. So this is going to be equal to read file sync file path file name and there we go, the file content. Okay, so out of this file content we will be able to set these variables. That is what the reason why we are loading this. So file content is going to be file content dot storage storage provider dot name. Sorry, not this. Username and token, that's all we need. Username and token. Okay, so now we have the storage provider, username and token. Okay, so all we need is this function to be executed here. Later we will do some error handling here if something goes actually wrong. Maybe we can do it now because otherwise. So we'll do like this. We will execute all this in here, and if anything goes wrong, we're going to change the response to error say error loading user file. This would be load user profile file, not load user profile. Or in fact, it's not the user, it's the user app file. Because we're loading the file that contains information of that specific user app. Okay, load user app file. So that means that this is save user app file, and also here is going to be save user app file. Okay, so point number one checked. We load the user app file. The second point, read the user profile from GitHub. In the previous procedure, we had a check or create user profile, and here we will have this function renamed into load user profile from storage. Okay, from storage. That means that, okay, this guy is done. Maybe I will be committing this. So this one is going to be, okay, the check create fork is a function that we don't need. Repository found, repository not found. Okay, so we are going to eliminate this one. So check create fork, we don't need it. So then load user profile from storage. What we will do here is if the user profile does not exist, then it's not our problem here because it should exist. So what we're going to do is to create a response. User profile does not exist. We are going to change the response with error loading user profile, or let me check if this is going to return or not an error. I think it should return, reject with an error. So we are going to send at least this stuff a little bit improved. Okay, it would be very strange that this goes this way, but whatever. Okay, so this is the function to load the profile from storage. Okay, now we would have at our user profile the profile that is stored at GitHub repository somewhere. Okay, so this we can consider this thing done. Okay, the next step, add the nodes of social persona and social persona. And sign the social persona node. So I will change the name of this here. From add user apps to add user app nodes. Okay. And here add user app would be add social entity nodes. Okay. So in our case, add social entity nodes. So user profile, user apps. Okay, so what do we have to do here? We need to check if this node exists, no, and then add one of these. So it's a similar stuff. If okay, first we need to know what this message is adding. Okay, so we know that we have this as one of the properties of the message. So the second thing is Okay, when somebody wants to add a social entity, I need to know if it's going to be a social persona or a social trading bot. So I need a social entity type. This can be social persona or social trading bot. Okay, these are the two things that you can add. Then social entity handle. Okay, it would be a string of, well, Twitter has 15 character maximum, but I'm not sure that is the best size. Let's say 20. Okay, max. Okay, with these two things, I'm going to create what I need. So this list of things that we're going to do, probably I'm going to update it now. The first thing we're going to do is to get load from the user file info regarding where the profile is stored, including token to access it. Then we are going to run the user profile from storage. Um, then we are going to add social entity to the user file, and we are going to create the signing account for the social entity. Then we are going to add the storage container. create a storage container for the new social entity, and finally save the updated user profile to its storage location. Okay, and then we finish. Okay, so we are at this point at social entity nodes. So load from storage is done. Okay, so there is a little problem here, but for some reason this is including all this. What is going on here? Okay, this is missing. Okay, so load user profile from storage, load social entity nodes, add social entity node is what we are going to work on now. Okay, so it depends if we are talking about the user bot or a social trading bot or a social persona. So we need here a switch by social entity type. Okay, profile message dot social entity type. So case, this is a social persona. Then we will do all this and break. In case this is a social trading bot, we'll do all this. I think we are going to check that these are valid values beforehand. So essentially everything we have here or let's move it one by one. If it is a social persona, what we're going to do is the following. We're going to check user profiles, social personas. That is this guy. And if it doesn't exist, Then we're going to create a node of type social personas with name new social personas and of projects. My guess is that is social trading. Okay, so that's what we do if this doesn't exist. The similar situation for a social trading bot would be if because there is another node here called user bots. Okay, so if user bot does not exist, then we just create one node of type user bots new user bots. This is project governance. Governance. Okay, so then if we have if we have if in user bots dot social trading bots, I'm talking now about this node. Social trading bot is undefined, then we are going to create their social trading bots. Social trading bots, and this is social trading. Okay, so that would complete the whole sequence of what is needed before actually adding one social trading bot. Okay, before actually adding a social trading bot. I'm thinking that maybe it would be a good idea to have the storage container already created so that at this same point we can add this, and reference it and all finish. But anyway, we need a target node and a target node type count. Okay, so what we did was this: user apps. We created one or the other. Okay, so this is the next thing we need to do: to set up a target node and add it. So we are coming back here, and in this path our target node is going to be a social persona. Name new social persona of project social trading. And we're going to do user profile, social personas, again social persona, push target node. And the node count would be this. We will use this for signing, for the signing account. So this is how we added the new social persona. But let me see one thing. When we have a social persona, we need to put the handle in here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do JSON stringify one object that's going to have a handle equals to, and here we are going to use profile message dot social entity handle. There will be a check missing that the handle is unique, to be honest. At some point we have to make that. I'm not sure that today is the best day to do that. I'm going to write this somewhere. We need to check that the unique among all social entities currently exist. Okay. That's a bigger problem. That's why we're not doing it now. Okay, so this same guy can be used here. This is going to be a social trading bot. This is social trading, and we put the handle inside the configuration. In this case, we are going to have user bots dot social trading bots, and the amount of element of the array is going to be our count that we are going to use later. Okay, so all this, we don't need it anymore. And just like that, we have our function add social entities. Okay. So this is add social entity nodes. Okay, we are advancing well. Now add the sign-in accounts. So for this, we are sending the user profile, the target node, the type count, and the response. That's why we create this function somewhere else, so that we can reuse it. The only thing I'm going to take care is that the config, I don't like this because config, okay, this is the config of the sign-in account. I don't want the config of the target node to be replaced because it has the handle inside. Okay, so target node, name type, sign-in account, secret, and what happens with the, okay, so we are not going to do this because we don't want this default handle. In our case, okay, here we are adding the code name without this, without rewriting the whole configuration, which is good. And this is not going to be true anymore. We are not going to create a default. We're going to use the handle that we receive at the message. So this is how this is going to work. Okay, so we are all good with this one. And add sign-in account is also done. Then we will need another function according to this. Create a sign account for the social entity, create a storage container. Okay. So we will need something similar to this. Add social entities after this. And it's going to be add open storage. In fact, we already have this function. Add open storage. We're going to rename this by nodes. Add open storage nodes. So what we're going to do is take this from here and after add sign-in accounts we have add open storage nodes. What is this? Okay, so for this, I'm going to use this thing as part of the name of the repository. Or maybe I use the handle. Yes, that's what I'm going to use. We're going to use the handle as part of the repository name. In this way, instead of mine, I'm going to put the handle plus social So it's going to be Luis dash Luis dash social persona dash data. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more to the handle so that it can be more expressive. Maybe 25 characters would be good. Okay, so this is going to be the repository name. Repository created. Then we add no repository not created. Then we have an error. Okay, so add nodes means that if user storage is undefined, we do this. Okay, so here we are going to create we are assuming that the storage of this person is GitHub, but we're not going to do that now. So we're going to say this here. If server equals GitHub, then we're going to do this. If not, we're not going to do anything until we have another storage provider. Okay, but in the meantime, this is good enough. So when we say that we are going to create the repository, what we mean is create for authenticated user. And who is the authenticated user here? This is not clear to me. This is not clear to me. Okay, more GitHub problems ahead for sure. So if this is GitHub, then create a GitHub storage, open storage, storage container, code name, social trading repo name, GitHub username is going to be storage provider username, repository name the same. Okay, so we will also need this is the node, the storage container, okay? So we need the storage container ID in order to set up the reference parent at the social entity. Okay, so we need to store this storage container ID equals to storage container dot ID, and this guy is going to be somewhere here, because we will need this at the next function. Okay, so here at this function we essentially created a repository on GitHub and created the storage container node structure at the user profile, and we have the ID of the storage container node. So once we have that, there's something that I don't think is going to work here, because this is for authenticated user and I don't know how this can guess which is my authentication, but we will figure it out once we try to do it. So I expect wasting one more hour there, but anyways, this is done. And so we add this. Then we need another function that is going to add the available storage, okay, to the target node. The target node is either the social trading bot or the social persona bot, the social persona. So we're going to add this and this and set up the ID to the container. Okay, so it's going to be called add available storage nodes. Let me check this out if everything is okay. Okay, so available storage nodes. I'm going to copy this because I can reuse some part of the code and change the function name. Add available storage nodes. What that would do is to work with the target node, and in this case we know that the target node is new, so it doesn't have available storage. So I would say target node dot available storage is going to be equal to a node of type available storage. That is going to be like this. It's going to be done to open storage project. Okay, open storage. Then available storage has storage container references. Storage container reference is going to be an empty array for now, but what we are going to do next is available storage dot this dot push, and we're going to create a node going to be storage container reference Oh, it's going to be called storage container reference. Then this is going to be of this type of the project open storage. Okay, with an ID of unit ID and blah blah blah. So this is going to be inside this guy, and all the rest can go. So the last thing we need to do is to set up the reference to the storage container that we already created. Okay, so for that I'm going to look into this string, but I'm going to search it into, or from here, plugins, governance, user profiles. I will go to my own user profile and search for this guy. Okay. So I need to have this structure. It seems that the reference the reference parent is stored in this way. Probably this is optional, or I guess this is optional, but I need this save payload and this stuff. So that's what I need. So it seems that I will need to store the whole container. Okay, no worries. So save payload. This is going to be an object that has a reference parent with a type name and ID. Okay, so the storage container is going to be like this guy, type, name and ID, and here The storage container is going to be this guy, this object. So we don't need this line. And this is how we create the reference to the storage container. And hopefully it would work. Okay. So this is almost the last function. This is done. And finally, we are going to push file and pull request. Okay, this should be exactly the same story. This save user profile is not going to be needed. So save user profile, you can go push profile and pull request. I'm going to rename it by push user profile and pull request here and also here. So what we have here, push plugin file and pull request. So here is where we have the storage provider token, governance plugin repo name. Now we don't have this at the user message, but at this variable user profile. The same here. Yeah, okay, so this still doesn't take into account that there might be other storage provider for the user profile itself, but once we have those, then we can upgrade this easily. Okay, so this is cool and good enough for me. The last thing I would do here is to check all these things that we are validating here, message property validation. So the user app type should be this. So we have this control. Then social entity type. We are talking about this guy. Social entity type, social entity type, social entity type. Should be only social persona. Or social trading bot. Okay. And then we need the social entity handle. So let's say that this comes here. Here. Token username. So we will check that the handle, if it is undefined, I'm going to respond is undefined. And if the handle dot length is more than 25, then okay. So that's pretty much what is needed here. Next step for this is debugging all this. Okay, there is going to be a big validation missing, but it's not going to be the problem initially, but later it's going to be. So I think that we are kind of done. Next step is to debug this, make sure it's working, and move on. Okay, so I'm going to commit this. This is going to be a peer-to-peer network coding session. Um, I think it's 46, yes. So, to recap, we wrote all the code needed for adding social entities to a profile from a user app, or specifically a user social app. So that means that there is a single message for adding a social entity where the application can execute or request that, make that request. And if they send the user app type, meaning that it's a social trading desktop app or social trading mobile app, and they send the entity type they want to add, a social persona, a social trading bot, and they give a social entity handle, then this function is going to load the user profile from wherever it's stored, now only possibility GitHub. Okay. Before that, it's going to read the application file. We are going to have one application with the secrets of that application, including the token to get to the user profile. We are going to load the user profile from the storage, in this case GitHub, possible only. We are going to add the social entity nodes to the user profile, create a sign-in account for that, okay, which includes saving the private key inside the sign-in account file. create a storage container for that, and associate. Let me check, there's something else we do. Then we are doing the adding. I'm going to take notes here. Adding the what is called available storage to the social entity. Okay, that includes the reference to the storage container. And finally, we save the updated user profile to the storage location, which ends the process. Okay, that is the last thing we do. So yeah, at the next episode, we are going to debug all this, make sure that it's working, and we are very close to finish this cycle of the peer-to-peer network. Once we complete the few more messages that we have defined here, there are to delete social entity, and not delete social entity, we don't need that yet, but at least list social entity. With that method working, I will consider finish the peer-to-peer network second iteration for now. Okay, so thank you for watching this one. See you next time.